Think of the smartest person you know. What is the dumbest thing they've ever done? Guy with a PhD in chemistry had a problem with electric furnace. It kept switching off the circuit breakers. So he was told by someone to stick a wooden splinter in it to keep the switch up. But it was too weak and the gap in the breaker too narrow. So he took some strip of metal instead. Well, he still lives, but he said he almost shat himself. My brother was in uni in the UK and needed a toaster. He ordered one off of Amazon for $3 and was surprised to find one so cheap. Turns out it was a kid's toy. It came with plastic pieces of bread as well. I have a grandfather who was an extremely talented criminal who used to rob store safes. One time he robbed a safe while posing as an inspector without even being noticed. He eventually turned himself in after starting a family, having my mom then summarily escaped from prison and managed to create a fake identity with a loophole that has now been closed. He lived with a fake last name for several years until he was eventually caught. However, he managed to negotiate for a pardon by explaining the loophole he used to create his fake name. It was either the mayor or the governor. I forget. He went free and got a job as a maintenance guy. Then he retired and gave all of his money to a scam televangelist and now lives in poverty. My friend has a master's degree in mechanical engineering and robotics. He once made a potato salad with raw potatoes because he thought, since it's a salad, you're not supposed to cook it. Friend of my mother's, PhD in biology, specialized in mushrooms. She was also a bit of an artist and carved wood with bacteria in her spare time. She'd previously tried to do it with fungus and, well, it wasn't fast enough. After a few years of carving with bacteria, she decided they weren't fast enough either. So she switched to insects, ordered banned beetles from Japan, illegal insecticide from South America, and went to town carving faces in wood. Except that the government had noticed. When she got raided, there were 6 federal agencies and at least as many from the state: FBI, EPA, D, FWS, USTA, CBP. Hello. I'm a professor of biology at college. Worked great. The D and FBI were willing to overlook her coca-based insecticide, considering that she was eligible to purchase it with a couple of forms. The EPA and CBP didn't care about her illegal boring beetles for much the same reason. Fish and Wildlife didn't even know why they were there. The problem was the USTA. During the search of her house, they found a bag of the fungus that causes Dutch elm disease, open on the kitchen counter next to the toaster oven. She even got out of that. My sister, my wonderful sister, so intelligent, educated, but dang. They had their house inspected, and the inspector found an issue with their gas heat, called an irripaman, and it turns out they were having lower levels of carbon monoxide leaking into their home. When my mom asked her why she didn't have several working detectors, she answered, well, I did, but one just wouldn't quit beeping. This was 10 years ago, and we still bring it up all the time. Thankfully everyone turned out to be okay, but that wouldn't have been the case much longer. My dad is a software engineer and pretty smart. When my twin and I were about 7, he was the only one home with us when he started coughing up blood. Except he didn't tell anyone and decided to just wait for my mom to get home instead of getting someone else to look after us and going to the hospital. My mom was so pissed when she got home and he casually mentioned the coughing up blood thing. Turned out he had bronchopneumonia pneumonia and had to spend a couple weeks in the hospital. Even had to have his heart stopped and started again. He almost died because he decided coughing up blood wasn't an emergency. I have a neighbor. He is by far the smartest person I know. A couple 4th of Julys ago, he got a quarter stick of dynamite and strapped it to an RC boat with a detonate button and a timer. He sent it out on the lake at night, flipped the switch, and it didn't go off. So he took it back into the house to fix it, but never turned the detonate button off. So when it was fixed, the 7-second timer started going. It ended up going off in the house and blowing out all of the windows. Everyone was safe. Too long didn't read, my neighbor blew up his house. Girl I know Has a master's in chemistry and still thought she could get away with casual meth use, as if that is a thing. Easy. Dad's an actuary. Basically a cross between a mathematician and an economist. Wrote a textbook for his field. And has been CEO of several very large companies. I came home many years ago to hear Age of Empires blaring at a million dB. That's odd. I wandered downstairs to find him playing the game. With headphones on. But unplugged. He had the sound turned up on the speakers because he couldn't hear it over the dampening of the headphones. To top it off, he had the headphones on backwards. To this day makes me smirk. We were in a conference that mentioned Gillimia, and she said I think I have ancestors from there. And to cap it all off, she'd recently been diagnosed with Bolivia. Brother-in-law is a pretty clever guy. Ran a bath for his kid. Couldn't get the tap to turn off. Mad panic. Rang a plumber friend asking him to come round quick or the house is gonna flood. Friend was like, you could just pull the plug. Real nice. Real clever guy. Zero common sense. Where we are, you don't mess with jellyfish. They duck you up. My partner. Postgrad quals. Civil engineer. Super rational. Smart. Measured. Not at all impulsive human. Being walking along the water's edge at the start of jellyfish season. Sees a mass in the water. That looks like a jellyfish. Kicks the mass. Toe connects with mass. Duck. It was a rock. Having gotten over my amazement at the stupidity I just witnessed, I pocketed the rock. Gave it to him as a congratulations at your amazing career promotion. Just to remind him he is not immune to errors of judgment. I did my undergrad with a guy who got an almost perfect score on his MCAT, but also ate a raw chicken breast because he thought it was a really bad hot pocket. He was sober. He's a surgeon now. They use their bare hand to check if the stove was still hot by pressing it directly on the burner, and they had 2 doctorates. While applying for a job, he thought sick pay meant that the job paid really well. My older brother was the high school valedictorian and decided to cut an apple with a large knife while holding it in his hand. He has a lovely scar from it. My older brother, hands down one of the smartest people I've ever had the privilege of knowing, once got incredibly drunk and wrote ass in big black permanent marker on the right ass cheek of an acquaintance who was wearing a brand new pair of like 85 white jeans. Never seen him look so ashamed while giving money to a person for clothing. My dad, TAFE professor, got his mortgage down to $20,000 and had the opportunity to pay it all. Redrew and bought a brand new car. Totaled car. Bought another brand new car. Gave it to girlfriend at the time. Girlfriend left and kept car. Currently owes $250,000 on his same mortgage. My husband. He's a mathematician for the feds. But he has repeatedly gotten us to the wrong airport in cities that have more than one. Like at least 3 times. He's brilliant. But a moron. My buddy, who is now a brilliant emergency medicine doctor, at one point, while sledding, bet he could jump off his moving sled over a flat bench and land on the sled while moving. He realized he couldn't position to jump and crashed the bucket into the bench. Dumbest genius I have ever met. I lived in Colorado Springs. My friend came into town and was booked into a hotel. I called and asked for the name or address of the hotel, and he told me he did not know, but he could see the mountains from where he was. He narrowed his location down to a time zone. My dad is the smartest person I and anyone who knows him know, and once when we were kids he tried to make us laugh by sticking peas in his nostrils, and ended up accidentally snorting them up into his nasal passages. Best part, he's an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. One of the best in the region. I can still hear him pleading with my mother to take them out because he couldn't face his colleagues with peas up his nose that he voluntarily put there. Swallowed an entire Jenga piece whole. I was picking up my date future wife when her valedictorian roommate turned quickly away from the TV and said in all seriousness, "Don't look. They're welding." It will damage your eyes. She got more serious as I continued to look back and forth at the TV and her. She actually yelled, "It's going to blind you." I then asked her, "So, when your TV is showing an image of the sun?" That's as far as I got. You could see the wave of embarrassment wash over her face. She immediately started crying and begged me not to tell anyone. My friend in college graduated summa cum laude with a double major in biology and chemistry. She went on to medical school and became a physician in a hospital you've definitely heard of. One day she put a fork in the microwave when heating up a bowl of green beans, and I had to explain to her why the microwave sounded like it was full of firecrackers. My aunt, college professor, PhD in mathematics, was blown away when watching my father cook rice without a rice cooker. Tried jumping over a pallet of boxes with their arms tied behind their back, split lip open. My colleague was tasked to put mail into the mailbox. She asked me where it is and what it looks like. Around the corner. And it's a red box. Turns out, there is another red box marked general waste. About 2 mail away is the red box that spells out Australia Post. She's been throwing away mail. I don't know if he's necessarily the smartest person I know, but I know a pretty smart astrophysicist who pointed out a star to us which was in fact a plane. No joke. Poured gasoline on a campfire. Called me at 2:30 am to ask a work question. No problem. It was part of the job and project we were on. He then called me back at 3:45 am to say I just wanted to say thanks. That worked, just like you said it would. My brother has PhDs in bioengineering. We were on a call one day and he was saying I can't find my phone. Probably my kids took it. Didn't realize until I told him that he was using his phone to talk to me. My best friend is a researcher for space stuff at a top university in the United States and is getting her PhD and master's simultaneously. She has several computer science math degrees and graduated with honors. She's the smartest a lot of people know. I'm very proud of her. That being said, her list of common sense things is rather low. I've had to explain to her exactly why picking up hitchhikers is a no-no, why hiking along trails alone and deep woods alone is dangerous. But truly the take the cake, the incident that happened when we were freshmen in college. We went to different colleges several hours in different states away but talked weekly. 10 years later, we still do. Anyway, she calls me saying her clothes stink and she had washed them several times without wearing them. I ask what kind of detergent she's using and she says Tide. I say that it's probably the from washing machines and they are never cleaned, and to get some fresh or Vinegar. She agrees and says, maybe I should use detergent more often. Jazz music stop. What, wait? I sputtered out in my hysterical sobs of laughter. Listen, smartest person I know. You have to use laundry detergent every single time you wash clothes and that's why they stink. As a child she thought her parents were just being frivolous using it every time. I asked her what she thought it was really for, and she thought it was to keep the washing machine clean, and was terribly upset that her detergent budget had increased. After I told her, too long didn't read, my astrophysicist bestie was taking her clothes on a field trip through the washing machine, and didn't understand the purpose of laundry detergent. My mother, Oxford mathematics graduate with no parental leg up, shall we say, aka, not from a posh family or anything. Had her IQ tested officially in a proctored exam and got 163. Mensa member. Today I learned she realized what kind of person joins Mensa. This woman cannot understand time zones, which is ironic because her family lives in Australia, Hong Kong, the UK and the east and west coast of America. She never knows when it's appropriate to be calling anyone, and you may get a random call from her at 3 am. But we love her anyway. A friend of mine. 4.0 GPA unweighted. 35 ACT. 36 super score. Smart ass kid. But he went running barefoot in 101 weather on a gravel road because he wanted to increase his pain tolerance. My dad. He had one of his ears pierced when he was in college. He went to a party wearing an earring. A girl started talking to him and decided to give him one of her earrings. But he didn't want to take his earring out, so he stabbed her earring through his unpierced earlobe. This man is now an engineer. My friend M is really good at math. She literally minored in it for fun. One day, we were walking along, and she said, "Guys, I saw something on Facebook this morning. We are only 81 years from the year 3000. This was in 2019. I thought she was making fun of the silly Facebook people. Then she said, "Isn't that crazy?" And then I realized that my friend who enjoyed calculus genuinely thought that 2019 plus 81, 3000. I had to break it to her gently. I will never let her live it down. Once my friend asked someone, "Where are you?" when he was standing right in front of him. My brother is one of, if not the smartest person I know. 36 on his act, likely on the spectrum. He moved out to Nashville at 19 to try to become a rock star and moved back about 9 months later because of issues with his landlord. He left his drums, a couple guitars, and his entire wardrobe behind because duck that guy probably lost something like $2K worth of shit doing that. Had a roommate who was working on their PhD in psychology get mad at me for leaving the washer on the hot water setting. She was upset because she didn't think she could get her jeans to stretch back out to fit her. When I said they're cotton, so they should stretch back, she said they're denim, not cotton. I even asked her to check the tag, but her thumb was covering the one, so she said they're 0% cotton. Eventually I got her to move her thumb, and believe me, really nice roommate and a lovely person. She finished her PhD just fine, and I'm sure she's a great psychologist, just not the best at laundry. My brother's friend was high school valedictorian. In college, he gathered up deer turds to play a practical joke on his roommate by putting said deer turds into a box of Cocoa Puffs cereal. 2 days later he forgets about the deer turds and goes to pour himself a bowl of Cocoa Puffs. Instead of nice, sugary cereal, he gets a spoonful of deer turds. The first that comes to mind is my friend from back in high school. He loved and stressed over his academics. A straight A, color-coded binder, schedules time to study French in his free time. Kinda student. And I will never forget the time he went to take a bite of pizza, completely missed his mouth, and bit down so hard he chipped his front tooth. He had to go to the dentist over it. Couldn't figure out how a shower curtain worked, so she flooded my bathroom. My brother is a EMT firefighter that spends his free time exploring the outdoors, traveling, and reading every book on the planet. Super interesting to talk to, and the amount of knowledge and experience this man has had in his young life is absolutely mind-blowing. That being said, when we were teens at a party, he was drunk as almighty heck and someone dared him to eat some grass, who knows why, and he grabs as much as he can in the backyard and starts munching away, saying, "Was so good, might be the best thing I've ever had, Harry." And that's when I saw that he also had a mouthful of dog shit that must have been on that grass he grabbed. When I told him, he puked on the spot. I love that intellectual idiot. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe,